How are you doing? Great. I'm here for the second part, your pathway presentation. I'm Layla. Nice to see all of you. I don't know, maybe I've seen some of you before. Anybody here in a CBLR class this quarter? Awesome. Which class?
Like politics on my museum.
Which one?
Museum displays. Like.
Oh, great. Yes. Fantastic. Where you're doing the object, kind of histories and whatnot. Talking about the Burke Museum. Anybody else in a CBLR class? I saw one more hand.
LLC.
Oh, great. That's right. Yeah. Which one are you in? The STEM?
STEM, yes.
Oh, great. So you've probably been working with the Civic Science Center and whatnot. Okay, awesome. I always ask that to, so you're like, what? Working with who? Tell me more, right? I'm going to share with you just some general opportunities that are available to you here, and then I'm going to talk with you a little bit about what CBLR is here on campus and how you might find it, and then also what maybe some of the benefits to participating in classes that are CBLR, as well as some other high impact learning opportunities that you have here. And I'll start with that. So how many of you are interested in maybe traveling abroad? So me too. As part of your education, right? How many of you are thinking about internships already? How many of you have been volunteering before? How many of you are thinking about maybe volunteering? I'm seeing hands shooting up, right? Those are all opportunities that are available to you here. There are offices that are dedicated to supporting you and making those things happen. The Office of CBLR, or Community-Based Learning and Research, where I work, is one of those offices. And it's just one of the many opportunities that you have here outside of your classroom to kind of broaden your learning, basically. So if you look at this list here on your left, in the black writing, you're going to experience all of those things in your classroom and more. But you also have an opportunity to experience all of these things here on the right too. It's kind of like there's all these doors that are open. You just have to choose to walk through it and get more information and find support. And so I'm here to introduce you to one of those things today, which is community-based learning and research. But all of these opportunities, internships, studying abroad, CBLR, undergraduate research, who's interested in research? Yeah. All of these kinds of things are incredibly beneficial to you for lots of different reasons. I think one of the most important reasons is that it really contributes to your own sense of self. Like what you stand for, what makes you feel empowered, and how you can just kind of take that beyond the classroom, beyond campus, and into the world, into your future. So all of these things that you can participate in contribute to that sense of self-empowerment, which can lead to, I like to jump up top, even deeper, more connected learning. All of those things, right, are opportunities for connecting the learning that you're doing in your classroom with real-world experiences. So that's immersing yourself. You're using your whole body, your mind, your spirit, to learn, and not just the intellect, right? And I know your faculty are asking that of you too in your classrooms and your advisors as well. So those are some other benefits. You're going to discover passions and talents that maybe you didn't realize that you had. You're going to grow skills that that maybe you've already got, right? Because you're all bringing such incredible experience with you already. You're going to grow what you've already known. You're also going to discover what you're not passionate about. And I always say that, so some of you have heard me say that. I really can't emphasize it enough. It's really important. If you discover what you're not passionate about, or maybe what makes you angry and what you want to stand up for, that is just as important as realizing what you are passionate about. All of these experiences, like Chris was saying at the very end of his presentation, when you're being creative and when you're being organized and when you're solving problems and when you're persevering, all of those things, all of those soft skills are really important for when you're actually trying to do the things like applying for your major, looking, maybe applying to graduate school at the end of your 4 years here, looking for internships and getting internships, finding jobs. So all of these opportunities outside of the classroom can actually lead to jobs and internships, help you really build your resume and your applications and your list of experiences for all of these applications that you might have to put in the future. And if you kind of continue to think about how you might do learning, right, outside of the classroom, then you have a lot more of an opportunity, to apply for scholarships and awards, and you have a lot of experience to kind of show for it. Graduate schools and fellowship programs and award programs are really looking for not just what you've experienced in the classroom or where you've worked, but maybe extra volunteer experience or where you might have traveled, or an internship that you've taken, and they want to see that you're making those connections, both with your academics and outside of the classroom. So these are just some suggestions for building your potential toward that. Now, community-based learning and research. What is it really? So for those of you who are in a CBLR class, you've already kind of gotten a taste, right, of how what you're actually working on in the class connects with what you're doing outside of the classroom. And it can look a lot of different ways. It can look like your experience, right, where you worked with where your whole class, right, of maybe 20 of you or 15 are actually in partnership with an organization, Pacific Science Center in your case, and you're doing a project with them and for them, and maybe you even get to go to Pacific Science Center and present, and work with some of their staff there, etc. Or it can look like 15 hours to 100 hours, depending on what level you're at, a quarter of volunteer work outside of your class. In the end, CBLR is part of your learning experience and is integrated into your classwork, and you get credit for it. So, the business, CBLR, right? You will be asked to work outside of class, usually, sometimes it'll be more like a project that you're doing with your class, that you might be presenting to a community partner afterward. It usually almost always involves a community partner, right? So an organization, a school, a business, a local government entity that actually has a need in the community and is working with you to kind of do a project that supports that need. So your work is actually supporting the community and supporting the community organization. In a CBLR class, the number of service hours can vary, as I mentioned, anywhere from 15 to 100, depending on what level class you're in. And since it's integrated into your coursework, you will gain credit for it. It is a part of credit, and it depends on your faculty how much of your grade it counts for, but it is worth credit. And I wanted to let you know that if you're looking for these kinds of courses, for CBLR courses, they actually can be kind of hard to find on the time schedule. So one of the ways you can find them is to look for an S beside the class, which stands for service. They don't all have that. We're still working on that, but that's something you can look for. You'll also know you're going to be taking a CBLR class if it says in the description 15 to 20 hours of work outside of the classroom required. You can pretty much always guarantee that that's a CBLR class. Any questions so far coming up for you about CBLR? You can find every quarter, we try to get these posted way before the quarter starts. Right now we have spring CBLR courses on our website, so it's really pretty easy to find. It's like anything, you can Google it. So you can Google UW CBLR courses and it'll take you to our course page. You can, and you'll find that we have courses across all of the different schools. So no matter what major you are, you'll have opportunities to take, you could have opportunities to take a CBLR course. We have usually about 25 to 30 CBLR courses each quarter, except for summer, which is a little lighter. And then we have around 150 partners outside of on-campus partners and off-campus combined that partner with students and provide opportunities for community-based learning at their sites. These are some examples too of classes. Down here, you can see a big kind of wide open library space. You can barely see it, but there are laptops kind of set up. This class is actually running, it runs every quarter, it's great. It's a CSS class, K through 12, computer education. It doesn't matter what your major is, you can take it. You can even take it 2 quarters in a row if it really speaks to you. And it's an opportunity to work with a group of about 15 students, learn how to teach Scratch coding language to K through 12 students, and then to run an after-school program for about 5 to 6 weeks in a school. And my office, the CBLR office, works with different schools around the area looking for schools that could really use this. And we really try to get it offered to students for free. Okay, so these are like students usually who take this after school class that you would run, the UW students run, and they're ideally taking it for free because hopefully, and we're providing access to them. Up here, you can see another kind of education opportunity or picture of a student who's in our Education Society class doing a college access program, which includes mentorship over a course of 8 weeks at Voyager Middle School. So anybody here go to school in Mukilteo schools or Everett area? Yeah. A lot of these, what we try to do too is we know that you are all living all over the place, right? So super south, further north, east. We try to have partners, we're always working on it. Try to have partners connected to classes that are all over. So it's not, ideally there's choices for you as well. This is an upper level nursing class where students actually get to work with nurses who bring a problem that they're experiencing into the classroom. And these nurses are like basically consulting with students. The students actually do literature review and research, and then they try to solve this problem and they present to the nurses at the end. And oftentimes these nurses take the solutions and the research that the students do back to their clinics and they implement them. They try to solve problems. So really, I hope what you're seeing is that the work that students do in their CBLR classes is actually making an impact in workspaces and in community spaces. That's the ultimate goal, in addition to you learning a lot and developing connections that could lead to jobs. So if you can't do CBLR courses because you've got a lot of other obligations or commitments, there are opportunities on campus to actually do civic engagement, service projects, and whatnot that are just 1 day, sometimes 2 days. We have a group on campus, I don't know, did anybody attend any of the MLK events last week? I think there was a movie, The Hate You Give, there was a speaker, and quite a few. There was even a service project at Mary's Place over the weekend. So if you participated in any of those, or come March, if you participate in Alternative Spring Break, that is all run by the Office of Community-Based Learning and Research, but specifically 3 students who take leadership positions, and they coordinate all of these opportunities for you to participate in. So you don't have to take a CBLR class to be civically engaged. There are other opportunities for you on campus. All right, I'd love to tell you a couple stories because these are pretty special student stories. This is a story about how what somebody's CBLR experience actually led to a job. And this is about Jason Hampton. He actually came in as a transfer student, so a little bit different from you. But he came in as a transfer student. He had worked like in restaurants and hotels, in hospitality, right? But he was really interested in conservation, environmental sustainability, and he took a class, EIS 359, that was partnered with a bunch of different, environmental sustainability partners in the community. One of them was Sustainable Seattle. He developed a walking tour of businesses in Capitol Hill in Seattle that the public could take to kind of learn about how these businesses practiced sustainable practices in their businesses, right? Around like recycling, energy use, etc. And after the class was over, he continued to volunteer for them. And then he also continued to do on-campus volunteering. So he worked with the UW Garden Committee, and through all of those experiences, and probably some that I don't even have on this map, he started to really develop connections with more and more people. So that by the time he was graduating, right, he was able to send an email to everyone in his network. So all the people that he had met over the time that he'd been going to school here, and say, hey, I'm looking for a job. If you have any recommendations for me, please let me know. And it was his Sustainable Seattle contact that he met originally in his CBLR experience that sent him the job that he got right after graduation. So he now, I think, works in the Department of Transportation for the city of Seattle, and you can kind of see, how that can go. These experiences can really lead to great things down the road and on the way. Internships, opportunities, lots of CBLR opportunities actually turn into possible summer jobs or just internship opportunities. This is another story about a student whose CBLR experience really helped her get into graduate school. Kalia took her first CBLR class when she took community psychology. And as part of that class, she worked with Planned Parenthood as a women's rights and reproductive health advocate. So she was like out in the community, kind of doing outreach, getting people familiar with Planned Parenthood and what they do and women's rights and reproductive health. And because she was an education student, she ended up taking an upper level applied experience class. Now with those upper level applied experience classes in education and in health studies, you take, this is 100 hours, and you can divide it up between a couple of quarters. So you get a longer experience, or you can do it all in one quarter, depending on what your schedule is like. Health studies, this is an aside, is like a 40-hour commitment for the quarter. Anyway, she took applied experience, and she volunteered at Boyer Middle School in the North Star Mentorship Program, where I showed you that picture before, working with students, mentoring them who kind of had similar lived experience as her, so she really connected with them. And she stayed on with them for a while, for all 100 hours of her applied experience, and continued to grow her leadership skills through mentorship. She also got an opportunity to take this food justice class and partnered with a whole other community partner, Community Alliance for Global Justice, and was just really able to kind of explore her passion for social justice through that class and through the work that she did with that partner. When she was ready to put her graduate school application together, she had a lot of experience to list. And that's the other thing. All of these CBLR experiences, any study abroad that you do, any internship, undergraduate research, all go on your applications, your resumes. I can't overstate that. It's just so important to remember to record these things so that you can share this experience with others when it's time for you to do applications. So she had a really strong application. She got into Seattle U, and I think she'll probably be graduating from there soon. She'll have a School of Psychology education degree, and she'll be able to be a counselor in a school, or maybe even a director of counselors or of a counseling center. She could go work in a youth development nonprofit, maybe also doing case management, and overseeing programs like that with a degree like that, amongst many other things. So this is a video that I'd love to play for you that I think just really illustrates kind of like the power of connections outside of the classroom. And the partner that you're going to see here, some of you I know have already seen this, but for those of you who haven't, I think it's pretty unique. The partner that you're going to see here that's working with UW students is the Alyssa Burnett Center. Who's heard of it? Anybody? It's right here in Bothell. And it's a Seattle Children's Hospital-run adult life development center. It's basically like community college for adults with, and for young adults and adults with disabilities. So let's see if my technology works here. Through my can't really hear it, right? Because it's coming through my laptop. Is that right?
There's a volume button.
Let me just see what I can do. I'm gonna keep playing it just for a minute. If anybody has ideas, you can come help me.
I got a speaker. You got aux?
Huh?
I got a speaker, you got aux?
I don't know.
Students from all of the schools at the University of Washington Bothell. The volunteers that come from the University of Washington Bothell have added just a fresh feeling to the center. You can tell that students are more engaged when they are able to see how the material that they're learning is applied here at the center.
Some of the most impressive projects have actually come from some of the business students, and they've really helped us look at our business plan, ways that we can best utilize the center to maximize on revenues.
It's been really transformational on both ends. Those Burnett Center's been able to
Is it too good to help here?
Yeah.
Is it?
It's really in the mission of our university to be community engaged and give back to the region through the cycle of support that we see from individuals and partners.
The Alyssa Burnett Adult Life Center is a lifelong learning center for adults with autism and other developmental disabilities. And really it's meant to be a center for students to develop skills to be independent. Students at the center take classes that focus on life skills, baking, cooking, art, music, drama, really anything that allows them to have social connection with other peers in the community. When we were first opening the center, the proximity to UW Bothell we saw as a lot of organic opportunities for students to both learn here and then for our students to learn from UW Bothell students.
We've had at least 50 students partner with the Alyssa Burnett Center over the 3 years that we've partnered with them, and this has included students from all of the schools at the University of Washington Bothell.
The volunteers that have come from the University of Washington Bothell have added just a fresh feeling to the center. You can tell that students are more engaged when they are able to see how the material that they're learning is applied here at the center.
Some of the most impressive projects have actually come from some of the business students, and they've really helped us look at our business plan, ways that we can best utilize the center to maximize on revenues.
It's been really transformational on both ends. Alyssa Burnett Center has been able to grow a lot in the past 3 years, in part due to their partnership with UW Bothell.
UW Bothell students ultimately are developing a sense of compassion and empathy that then they're taking out far beyond the walls of the Burnett Center.
I think the most rewarding thing for me when working with these students at the University of Washington Bothell has just been the amount of joy that all parties experience in this partnership.
Everyone has a role in improving our region. The University of Washington Bothell is able to do this work because of our community partners, our alumni, our individual donors, the corporations that support the institution, and then in return we're able to support the broader region.
we truly would not be serving half the amount of families that we do without the support of these students here. What they're learning here is not just about mental health or autism or developmental disabilities, but it's about how to be a good human and how to be a true community partner.
Our partnerships are making an impact in our local region.
Organization based here in Seattle. We have a partner organization, Aldeasanas in Guatemala, and we work together to improve health in rural villages in Guatemala.
We were approached by Mabel, UW Bothel's nursing and health
I'm
studies
gonna
professor.
stop it here and wrap this up. You can actually find that on YouTube if you Google, if you wanted to see the other half about study abroad. It's pretty great. It's about a program in Guatemala that's through the health studies program. If you're interested in ever talking to me or some of our student peer advisors about CBLR, about volunteer opportunities, about connecting with community-based organizations, anything like that, you can find us in the Student Success Center. So where you go, just go to that welcome desk in UW1 and ask for CBLR. And then this is my information here as well. If you're interested, I've got drop-in hours. All right here. Any questions? Ready to go. All right. I'm here if you'd like to ask some questions on your way out. Thank you. Thanks for your attention.
Yes, yes.